The following document represents a comprehensive analytical reconstruction and deconstruction of the phenomenon known in pop culture and fringe information circles as the Planet X problem, Nibiru, or Nemesis. We are approaching this issue not as a classic astronomical task, since the object of study is absent from observed physical reality, but as a massive socio-psychological case study requiring careful dissection. Our goal is a detailed breakdown of the mechanics behind the emergence, spread, and mutation of persistent conspiracy narratives that parasitize the fear of global catastrophe. We deliberately reject emotionally charged language and artistic metaphors in favor of dry facts, logical positivism, and the principles of critical rationalism. We will examine every aspect of this problem through the evidentiary lens of physics, history, and psychology. The introductory phase of our investigation records the current state of the information landscape. We observe a deep schism between the verifiable scientific worldview and an alternative reality constructed in the minds of a significant portion of the population. The subject under the influence of this viral information construct exists in a state of permanent background anxiety. This feeling is not generated by direct observation of threatening phenomena, but by a deep conviction in the existence of a global conspiracy of silence. When gazing up at the night sky, such an observer does not see the majestic and predictable workings of celestial mechanics. They do not see stable planetary orbits or familiar constellations. Instead, they see a complex camouflage system. In their perception, the visible stability of the solar system is a smokescreen hiding an inexorably approaching agent of destruction. We are talking about a hypothetical celestial body of colossal mass which, according to apocryphal prophecies, is intruding into the inner regions of our star system. Its goal, to disrupt gravitational equilibrium. The alleged result, tectonic collapse, magnetic pole inversion, the boiling off of the hydrosphere, and the death of technological civilization. We are entering territory where the laws of astrophysics are replaced by the laws of eschatological expectation. Our task is to conduct a forensic examination of this fear, an analysis of open-source intelligence, NASA bulletins, reports from the European Space Agency, and publications in peer-reviewed astronomical journals demonstrates a complete absence of any data confirming the presence of an unaccounted-for massive object in the solar system. In academic discourse, we find only standard minor bodies, comets, asteroids, and Kuiper Belt objects. Their behavior is fully described by the laws of classical mechanics and thermodynamics. Comets are viewed as conglomerates of frozen gases and dust, which, upon approaching the sun, begin to actively sublimate, forming a coma and a tail. However, the moment a researcher steps outside the bounds of academic science and dives into the alternative media space, the picture changes radically. Here, the conviction reigns that official reports are intentional disinformation. Thousands of commentators and content creators assert that the comets observed through telescopes do not actually exist as physical objects. They are declared to be holograms, optical illusions, or the product of atmospheric chemical spraying, so-called chemtrails, created with the sole purpose of hiding the visual signs of Nibiru's approach from the population. According to this logic, the elites have long been aware of the inevitable end and are preparing escape routes, building underground cities and bunkers, while the general population is intentionally kept in the dark. The genesis of this myth requires a deep historical dive. It is established that this phobia is not a spontaneous product of the modern post-truth era. It has deep roots extending into distorted interpretations of ancient texts and obsolete scientific hypotheses. The archetypal scenario posits the existence of a rogue planet with an orbital period of 3,600 Earth years. A key characteristic of its orbit is said to be extreme eccentricity and a significant inclination to the ecliptic plane. This allegedly allows the object to remain invisible to Earth-based observers until the moment of critical approach. The mythological superstructure includes elements of paleo-contact. The planet is declared the homeworld of the Anunnaki race, who, according to conspiratorial interpretations of Sumerian Akkadian epics, visited Earth in deep antiquity. They supposedly created humans as biological robots to mine gold, which was necessary to stabilize the atmosphere of their home planet. Nibiru's return to perihelion is viewed as the return of the masters for an inspection, or a harvest. Despite the obvious fantastical nature of this plot, it has firmly taken root in mass consciousness, becoming the basis for quasi-religious survivalist cults. Of particular interest is the mechanism by which the theory adapts to current astronomical events. Conspiracy theories demonstrate a high degree of resistance to facts and an ability to mimicry. The appearance of any new bright object in the sky, be it Comet Elenin in 2011, Comet Ison in 2013, or Comet Atlas in 2020, is immediately integrated into the narrative as confirmation of the theory. Physical characteristics of comets, such as gas tails or nucleus disintegration, are interpreted as the operation of plasma engines, cloaking fields, or the result of attacks by terrestrial or extraterrestrial military forces. Any rational explanation is discarded as part of the conspiracy. We are observing a classic example of a closed logic loop, where the absence of evidence becomes in itself proof of the highest level of secrecy and effective cover-up. To conduct a full investigation, we must examine the evidentiary basis relied upon by the prosecution, the conspiracy theorists. The first cornerstone of the theory was laid in the 19th century during the search for a trans-Neptunian planet. This search culminated in the discovery of Pluto, but left questions regarding perturbations in Uranus's orbit. However, the true renaissance of the topic occurred in 1983. The infrared astronomical satellite, IRAS, launched by NASA, mapped the sky in the thermal spectrum and discovered numerous previously unknown sources of radiation. The Washington Post, chasing a sensation, published an interview with mission scientists under a headline that implied a mystery heavenly body, possibly the size of Jupiter, had been found. This phrase, torn out of the context of a scientific discussion regarding the uncertainty of distances to the detected objects, became sacred scripture for Nibiru believers. In reality, subsequent analysis of the IRAS data showed that these mysterious sources were distant galaxies with extremely high rates of star formation, radiating energy primarily in the infrared range, known as ultraluminous infrared galaxies. The scientific community closed the case. But in alternative history, this event remained the moment when the authorities slipped up and then silenced everyone. The second pillar of the myth is the work of Zecharia Sitchin. In the 1970s, this self-taught author proposed his own interpretation of Sumerian cuneiform tablets. He claimed ancient Sumerians possessed detailed knowledge of the solar system, including planets discovered only in modern times, and the mysterious 12th planet, Nibiru. Professional Assyriology and linguistics categorically reject Sitchin's translations. The term Nibiru does exist in Babylonian astronomy. However, it translates as crossing, point of intersection, or transition. It refers to specific positions of the planet Jupiter, sometimes Mercury, on the celestial sphere, marking the change of seasons or astronomical cycles. In no text known to science is Nibiru described as a physical body orbiting the Sun with a period of 3,500 years. Sitchin's entire cosmogony is a product of his imagination superimposed on a loose interpretation of ancient symbols. Yet, as practice shows, a grand and beautiful lie appealing to a sense of mystery sells far better than dry philological truth. Transitioning to the physical phase of our investigation, we must apply the tools of celestial mechanics to test the hypothesis of a hidden planet. Science's main argument is gravity. Gravitational interaction is a long-range force that cannot be shielded, hidden, or faked with atmospheric spraying. The solar system is a complex but extremely precisely tuned mechanism where the movement of every body affects the trajectories of all others. If a body with the mass of Jupiter or even Earth were to intrude into the inner regions of the system, it would inevitably trigger a cascade of orbital perturbations. We would record deviations in the motion of Mars. We would see changes in Earth's orbital parameters, which would affect the length of the year. We would see destabilization in the asteroid belt. Modern space navigation systems controlling interplanetary probes require calculation precision down to meters and seconds. The presence of an unaccounted-for gravitational factor would make the precise arrival of spacecraft at their destinations impossible. The fact that rovers successfully land on Mars and the Voyager probes exit into interstellar space along calculated trajectories is the best proof of the absence of foreign massive bodies in the system. The hypothesis popular among internet users that the planet is hiding behind the Sun in a so-called counter-Earth orbit or simply in opposition shatters against Kepler's laws. Earth moves in an elliptical orbit and its angular velocity changes depending on its distance from the Sun. To remain strictly behind the Sun, a hypothetical planet would have to perfectly synchronize its movement with Earth. This is impossible if its orbit differs even slightly in eccentricity or radius. Sooner or later, due to the unevenness of Earth's motion, the hidden object would peek out from behind the edge of the solar disk. Furthermore, humanity launched the Stereo mission, a pair of satellites that, drifting along Earth's orbit, provided a full 360-degree view of the Sun and the surrounding space. They mapped the entire sphere, leaving no blind spots where a whole planet could hide. Data from these satellites is in the public domain, and it contains no signs of Nibiru. The next argument for the defense of the conspiracy is optical invisibility. It is claimed that Nibiru is a brown dwarf, radiating only in the infrared spectrum. Indeed, brown dwarfs are substellar objects, insufficiently massive to sustain thermonuclear hydrogen fusion, but they still radiate heat accumulated during gravitational contraction. The laws of thermodynamics are relentless. A heated body in a cold vacuum shines in the infrared range like a beacon. In the early 2010s, the WISE Space Telescope conducted a full sky survey in infrared rays. It discovered thousands of brown dwarfs, but all of them are located light years away from us. Within the Oort cloud and certainly within the planetary system, no objects of this class were found. Hiding the thermal radiation of a Jupiter-sized object is impossible, both technically and physically. The lack of physical evidence forces theory supporters to turn to visual anomalies captured by consumer cameras. The internet is overflowing with clips demonstrating a so-called second sun. We have conducted an optical forensic analysis of typical samples of such footage. In the overwhelming majority of cases, the observed phenomenon is the result of internal light reflections within the lens system, known as lens flare. Smartphones and compact cameras are equipped with protective glass and a set of lenses. When a light source of extreme brightness, the sun, enters the frame, light reflects multiple times between lens surfaces, forming an inverted and dim image of the source on the sensor, which is mistaken for a planet. A dynamic test confirms this. When the camera moves, the flare shifts chaotically relative to the background, whereas a real celestial object must remain stationary relative to the horizon. The second class of visual evidence is related to atmospheric optics. Hexagonal ice crystals forming in high cirrus clouds act as natural prisms. The refraction of sunlight in these crystals creates phenomena such as halos, a glowing ring around the sun, and sundogs, or parhelia. These are bright rainbow spots to the left and right of the luminary. These phenomena have been described in meteorology for centuries, but in the mind of a person detached from natural science and immersed in an information bubble of catastrophism, they transform into ominous omens. The psychological aspect here prevails over the physical. The observer sees what they expect to see, ignoring rational explanations. The history of comet psychosis deserves separate consideration. Every time astronomers discover a comet whose trajectory passes relatively close to Earth, a panic generation mechanism is triggered. The case of Comet Elenin in 2011 became a textbook example. Laypeople, fueled by conspiracy theorists, began searching for hidden meanings in the surname of the amateur Russian astronomer Leonid Elenin, who discovered the object. The surname was dissected into acronyms: ELE, extinction level event, and NIN. Nibiru is near. This numerological gymnastics led to a real man being harassed, while millions prepared for the end of the world in the autumn of 2011. Reality cruelly disappointed those awaiting the apocalypse. The comet was a small, loose ball of ice that did not survive perihelion passage and disintegrated under solar radiation and tidal forces. No gravitational strike, no pole shift occurred. Instead of admitting the error, the conspiracy community immediately generated a new version. The comet was shot down, it switched to stealth mode, or it was merely a test of the warning systems. A similar fate befell Comet Ison in 2013. Due to the specifics of gas outgassing from the nucleus, the comet's coma took on a shape in photographs remotely resembling wings. This immediately activated associations with ancient Egyptian and Sumerian depictions of the winged disk. The comet was declared a giant Anunnaki spaceship. The finale was predictable. Ison, like Comet Elenin, evaporated upon approaching the Sun. But the myth survived, mutating and transferring expectations to the next object. Summarizing the investigative experiment regarding the Nibiru theory, we are forced to acknowledge the complete insolvency of the prosecution's evidence base. Not a single argument, be it historical, astrophysical, or visual, withstands scrutiny by the scientific method. Linguistics refutes Sitchin's translation. Celestial mechanics guarantees the absence of massive bodies in the inner solar system. Optics explains the origin of second suns and halos. Thermodynamics excludes the existence of invisible hot objects. We are dealing with a phantom existing exclusively in the information field. However, the vitality of this myth forces us to turn to psychology. Why, despite decades of failed predictions, ends of the world were scheduled for 2003, 2012, 2017, and regularly thereafter, does this idea continue to capture minds? The answer lies in the defensive mechanisms of the human psyche when facing a complex and unpredictable world. Modern reality is chaotic. Economic crises, pandemics, and climate change create an unbearable background of anxiety. The human brain evolutionarily struggles to accept the idea of randomness and the pointlessness of suffering. The conspiracy theory performs a psychotherapeutic function. It orders the chaos. It offers a simple, understandable reason for all woes. Global warming is not happening due to a complex of anthropogenic and natural factors, but because of Nibiru's approach. This removes responsibility from the human and shifts it to an external, insurmountable factor. Paradoxically, believing in a sinister plan of a secret government or aliens is more comfortable than realizing that no one controls the world and we are flying on a rock through the void, left to our own devices. The second important aspect is narcissism and the sense of elitism. The adept of the Nibiru theory feels like the bearer of secret knowledge, a Gnostic who has seen through the veil of lies shrouding the sleeping herd. This sense of intellectual superiority over official science and the majority of the population is a powerful drug that boosts self-esteem. This is why direct debate with a conspiracy theorist is often doomed to fail. Facts are perceived not as information for reflection, but as an attack on their personality and unique status. Finally, one cannot ignore the economic basis of the fear industry. Nibiru is a successful commercial brand. Generating panic content brings millions of views on video hosting sites, which converts into advertising revenue. The sale of end-of-the-world literature, the construction of custom bunkers, the retail of survival kits. This is a business that thrives only in conditions of constant expectation of catastrophe. The beneficiaries of this system have a vested interest in the end of the world being constantly postponed, but never finally canceled. The conclusion of our dossier is unequivocal. The threat of a collision with Planet X is absent from physical reality, but it is extremely real as a virus of consciousness. It is a pathology of critical thinking, a symptom of distrust in institutions of expertise and scientific knowledge. We are observing a regression to a medieval type of thinking, where astronomy is replaced by astrology and analysis by the interpretation of omens. The only antidote to this information virus is education and a return to the empirical understanding of the world. The real universe, with its cryovolcanoes, methane rivers, black holes, and billions of galaxies, is infinitely more complex and interesting than any fabrication. It does not require belief in flat conspiracies. It requires only curiosity and honesty with oneself. Our recommendation to anyone feeling anxiety at the sight of two suns on a smartphone screen: put down the gadget, pick up a pair of binoculars, and look at the sky with your own eyes. There are no enemies there. There is only the grandeur of nature and the laws of physics, which work the same for everyone, regardless of whether you believe in them or not. The case of planet Nibiru is closed due to lack of evidence in the court of celestial mechanics.